This is a very special day. I knew one day I would outdo my personal best. Up until now, my personal best for filling up a Subaru Ascent. What was our personal best? Wrong. $129.71 just last week. Look, I did run the engine down to the reserve tank. Today, our new personal best for filling up a Subaru Ascent under the current terms of the price of the gas, $138.64. $138.64. We were on the reserve tank, a full tank on a Subaru. Yeah. All of a sudden, the prepay authorization to $150 is no longer ridiculous. Harumph. Harumph, I say. This is a very special day. I knew one.
How do I get out of this? Minimize a new personal record, people. Booyah. I ran the engine dangerously low. Now, hold on before I even continue. Once bitten, twice shy. How's my audio, people? Is my audio good, robotic, crackly? It's Canadian. It's Canadian, but that's like that's like $110 US. Harumph, yeah, congratulations, LOL. How is my audio before I carry on? Ugh. Oh, looking ugly here. Hold on. It's better. Yeah, how's the audio? Sounds good. Okay, good. Let me just straighten this. Nope, too far. There we go. Do you remember once upon a time, you pay with a credit card. It says, would you like to pre-approve authorization up to $50, $100, $100? And I'm like, $150? Whoever would need to pre-authorize $150 in our Subaru ordinarily? When we got the Subaru, I mean, $80 max to fill up. That was 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago. The $150 pre-authorization is now in play, people. I'm going to do it. I'm going to run the engine, the tank, not the engine. I'm going to run the tank so low. And people out there, yes, I know it's bad for the engine. You shouldn't run it down to the limits of the gas to the reserve tank because it has residue that gets into the engine, yada, yada. I'm not going to say that I lease our car, and that's why I'm doing it. I would do it regardless. I am having cold brew today, and it's delicious. By the way, hallelujah. I'm convinced that this is actually someone playing the role of a troll for fun and giggles to stimulate the crowd. So hallelujah. Thank you for being here yet again. Yesterday, hallelujah, in response to one of my videos, said, liar, Viva. When did Biden ever attack the courts, the Supreme Courts? Liar, shame, shame, shame. And I reply, Biden on Friday said that the SCOTUS decisions have been terrible, quote, terrible, but that they don't have much recourse, apparently. Terrible decisions. And then people in the chat jokingly saying, or in response to the comment saying, well, now someone's going to say calling the court decision terrible isn't an attack, it's a critique. So when Trump says terrible, when Trump says a judge made a mistake, that's an attack. When Biden says a judge made a mistake, it's terrible. That's just constructive criticism. Either way, hallelujah. Thanks for being in the house. You make for interesting chat, which is good for the algorithm. $138 to fill up the car. Canadian. I think our gas comes to like $8 a gallon. If we convert that, let me see, $2.10 a liter is $8.40 Canadian a gallon, give or take, minus the 25% exchange. So over $6. Look at this. BC, by the way. And once upon a time, I was in BC, and I noticed that even by my standards as a Quebec citizen, British Columbia gas was excessively high. Okay, people, let me just get this chat off. Standard disclaimers before we get started. And I couldn't go live yesterday. I have the 3 kids at home for the rest of the summer. And yesterday was my wife's day to be productive at work. And so I took the kids to this place called Cap Saint-Jacques, which is like a It's a beautiful place on the St. Lawrence River, Cap Saint-Jacques. I don't know what cap means in French. Cape. I'm an idiot. Cape Saint-Jacques. We went in the water because the water at the Verdun beach, just 15 minutes from where I live, apparently had too much fecal matter in it to go swimming in it. So we went out there for the day. Had a good day. I might make a family vlog out of it. It was fun. Today I'm going live. Okay. Tamara Lich has been arrested again, allegedly for violating her bail conditions. I was going to start off with like a cynical, today's going to be one of those days of trying to smile through the despair that the world, not the world, Canada is crumbling, Canada is falling, as is the rest of the world, but there seem to be more people fighting back peacefully, politically. Don't take things out of context, you bad faith players out there. People seem to be fighting back legally, politically, free speech wise, influence wise in the United States. Not so much in Canada. I've been doing my best, but at some point, it's going to be a question of smiling through the despair because it's atrocious. Tamara Lich rearrested. Ottawa police issue a warrant to have her arrested in Medicine Hat, Alberta, where we're going to get into it later, where they were going to detain her for 6 days before transporting her to Ottawa. Despair is the only word for this. And you have the Ottawa police disabling who can respond to their tweets on Twitter, taking to Twitter to make the announcement. We're going to get into it. Elmo promoting propaganda in a way that would make Joseph Goebbels smile from the pits of hell. He would be saying, my goodness, even we, the Yahtzee regime of the Schreich, did not have the audacity to use kids' characters in publicly funded kids' shows to promote medical advice. No shame, no limits. And the bad takes on the Supreme Court decision in Roe v. Wade continue to add up. And it's not even soft bigotry anymore. It's outright racism. Outright racism coming from, who else would you expect it from? Trudeau's Liberal Party in Canada. We'll get there. And then we're going to get to this interesting decision, which came out yesterday, which 6-3 decision said that a university violated a coach's First Amendment rights by refusing to allow him to pray on the field before a game. Protest, fine. Pray, no. We're going to have to, actually, even in my own psyche, I'm going to have to reconcile both of those ideas, because I do believe protests should be left out of work, but everyone should have the right to do it. Whereas I would also, at first glance say, maybe the issue is going to be that it's a university and not NFL. That might be the distinction. Okay, whatever. We'll get there. So anyways, that's it. We're going to have a fun afternoon today. Kids are upstairs. My wife is coming back from the office doing her not postdoc anymore. Neuroscience. Because I don't know if you know people. My wife has a PhD. Okay, that's the Ben Shapiro joke. Okay, standard disclaimers. No legal advice, no medical advice, no election fortification advice. Super chats, such as this one. Just me, Nicole. I haven't shared your email address for commissions on, I'm going to do it. Screen grab, so I'm going to remember this. Sorry. Super chats just like this. YouTube takes 30% of that. If you do not like supporting YouTube in the order of 30%, we are simultaneously streaming on Rumble. Rumble has the equivalent called Rumble Rants. It's actually spelled H-R-A-N-T-S. And Rumble takes 20% of that. So better for the creator, better to support a platform that you like or want to support. Best place to support Robert Barnes and me, if you are so inclined, vivabarneslaw.locals.com. The super chat is right. Hold on, I didn't read the super chat. Darn it. Hold on 1 second. Got distracted by the disclaimers. Just Me Nicole says, they will jack up the gas so high that when it drops below $2, people will be happy. I remember when I drove to Newfoundland in my parents' Suburban, 2002, I think. It cost over $100 to fill that tank, which had I think it was 100 liters, if that makes sense. 99 cents a liter. When it tipped $1 back then, of course, that's 20 years ago, and it's normal that it should go up, but fair enough. Or they're just going to... Anyhow. Norm, I wish the internet comment sections wasn't a scathing indictment of universal franchise. Been fun reading, though. Have a good day, Viva and friends. Hold on. Can I see if I understand this? I wish the internet comment sections wasn't a scathing indictment of universal franchise. Been fun reading through. Have a good day, Viva and friends. Norm, thank you very much, but I'm going to try chat. I'm not sure I understand that. Does that mean that people are free to be idiots in the chat, or that someone in the chat, let me know what you think that means. I'm not sure that I fully understand it. I won't do it. I won't do it. I won't do it. I'm going to try to make myself feel better by not irritating people who get irritated by the cracking of the knuckles. Okay, sip of some cold brew, and now I just felt exactly like Scott Adams. I didn't do it for that reason. Just highlighting the fact that I'm not drinking Red Bull. Freedom Convoy was to discover the people. Well done. Quarantine camps waiting for you. I don't know what that means. Hold on. I think I saw someone trying to explain. We're going to get into all the stories in a second. I didn't get it. He wants everyone to love what he does. I don't know. They've been jacking up price for years, just like our government baby steps to blindside you. So you have no idea what's going on. Okay. Hey, Viva. Reading a topic with all the views when dealing with human life. Shouldn't logic dictate we always err on the side of caution? Okay. We're going to get to some of these bad takes, man. Some of these bad takes. What do we want to start with? Do we want to start with Tamara Lich and then get into the other stuff? Or do we want to start with, no, we're going to start with Elmo. Where's Elmo? We're starting with Elmo. Where's my Elmo? Where's Elmo? I pulled up Elmo. So where the heck? Where's my Elmo? No, that's Hillary. That's Housefather. That's Trudeau, China. Oh my goodness. You know what? Forget it. We're just going to go back to this one. We're going to find Elmo here. Let's go to Elmo, people. It's going to make you vomit.
No, Daddy, a super duper panda just like Elmo.
You were super duper today, getting your COVID vaccine, Elmo.
Yeah, there was a little pinch, but that was okay. Elmo was really glad to have Daddy and Baby David there with him. Baby David, where are you?
I had a lot of questions about Elmo getting the COVID vaccine. Was it safe? Was it the right decision? I talked to our pediatrician so I could make the right choice. I learned that Elmo getting vaccinated is the best way to keep himself, our friends, neighbors, and everyone else healthy and enjoying the things they love.
This isn't a
Daddy,
joke. This isn't a
Elmo
joke.
and Baby David have a question. Can we have a hug?
Oh, come here, son.
Elmo loves you, Daddy.
I love you too.
It's okay to have questions about COVID vaccines for your kids. Get the latest facts by speaking to your pediatrician or healthcare provider.
Kate, there's two things here. I don't know if this aired on an episode of Sesame Street. So in the chat, if you know, let me know. Did this air on an episode of Sesame Street? Because some people were commenting, who on earth is this appealing to? Who is this marketing to? Are there kids on Twitter? This is a tweet coming from Sesame Street that Elmo retweeted. But I don't know if it aired on Sesame Street. That would answer at least one of the questions that at least. Oh, so people are saying, did it air on Sesame Street? Oh my God, LOL. Wow. Okay, the chat has exploded. Disgusting. I agree. There's no medical advice here. This is just propaganda advice. I imagine it was a PSA not specifically on the show. Okay. So anyways, let's set aside whether or not it aired on the show. They're nonetheless tweeting this. So even if it aired on the show, direct marketing of medical products to children, I believe it's outlawed in certain jurisdictions. And I believe, outlawed or not, it's overtly disgusting. If this didn't air on an episode of Sesame Street, the argument will be made, well, they're not marketing to kids. They're not targeting kids with advertising. Who the heck are they appealing to then? What is this on Twitter to be tweeting out at adults what is intended for kids? And what the substance of what they're talking about. If you have questions, go consult your pediatrician. Well, Elmo and your dad, I don't know who this character is. It's nice to say go consult your pediatrician to get independent medical advice for you. And then when you know about the reality of what's going on, and that being that medical professionals have been sanctioned, have had their licenses revoked, have been fired, have been disciplined, have been ostracized for giving advice that deviates from that PSA from Sesame Street, you can then, when they say go talk to your pediatrician to get independent medical advice, what they're saying is go talk to a pediatrician who knows that he or she is going to get licensed, censured, sued, fired, and whatever if they give the wrong medical advice. So they're basically saying, go get the advice that we know, go get the independent advice that's going to tell you exactly what we have required them to tell you. But I mean, I actually just have to play this just one more time.
Just like Elmo.
You were super duper today, getting your COVID vaccine, Elmo.
Yeah, there was a little pinch, but it was okay. Elmo was really glad to have Daddy and baby David there with him. Baby David!
By the way, this comes a couple of weeks. CDC approves. Not 5 to 11. Sorry. 6 months to 5. When was that? Oh, let's just see. Tweet. This is the CDC. Everyone 6 months and older should get vaccinated against COVID-19. Getting vaccinated can help protect you. Oh, but by the way, it can help you. It doesn't necessarily. It doesn't definitively. Now the terminology is it can. Might not, but it can. So this is, when is this from, by the way? This tweet is June 20th. Oh, look at that. A week later, they're doing direct marketing to children with Sesame Street. Someone made the joke also. I wonder if Pfizer sponsored that. Pfizer sponsored Sesame. I don't know if they sponsored that one, but by the looks of it, they've sponsored Sesame Street. I'm not going to play any of this. I'm not looking for copyright claims. By the looks of it, Pfizer has in the past sponsored Sesame Street. It is endless depravity. There's no other way to explain this. I want to see if my response to this one is underneath. Let's see. Oh yeah, loving eyes. Let's just see some of these responses. I mean, I woke up. I responded to this and said, I didn't wake up this morning thinking that I would come to the realization at some point in the day that Elmo's going to hell, but here we are. My major response was, I mean, even Joseph Goebbels would be impressed by this, Elmo. I mean, this is the most insidious propaganda that I bet you the likes of Joseph Goebbels could not have even imagined. They would use puppets to put out PSAs directed at children under these contexts. And I mean, for those of you who don't know who a lot of people, it seems to be like also kind of surprised. A lot of people don't know who Joseph Goebbels is. Goebbels, whatever, however you pronounce his name. It's a good history lesson. Let me just go down here, and I saw a super chat from someone I recognize. It's good to know your history if you don't know who Goebbels is. He was basically the Yahtzee minister of propaganda. And, you know, he came out with some sayings over the years, which have proven to be quite true, but from a diabolical, demonic perspective. Like, I always find it funny when you go to look up inspirational quotes, or you go look up quotes online and they come from Goodreads or inspirational quotes. And then you have like a whole chapter dedicated to Joseph Goebbels. I was like, yeah, inspirational quotes is not exactly the way I would would qualify it. But for those of you who don't know, just a brief primer in history. Joseph Goebbels, however you pronounce his last name, was a German Nazi politician who was the Golitzia, the district leader of Berlin, chief propaganda for the Nazi party, and then the Reich Minister of Propaganda from 1933 to 1945. Now, I want everyone to fully appreciate, let me just say this. He was one of Adolf Hitler's closest and most devout acolytes. That means followers. I had to look that up. Known for his skills in public speaking and his deeply virulent anti-Semitism, which was evident in his publicly voiced views, he advocated progressively harsher discrimination, including the extermination of the Jews in the Holocaust. And I'll make it abundantly clear here. I'm not saying that whoever made that ad is as much of an insidious propaganda minister as Joseph Goebbels. What I am saying is if that person were, I'm not sure what more they would do to be an even more insidious purveyor of propaganda than using kids' puppets to promote medical intervention, medical treatment to kids. A week after the CDC decides to allow it, a program that has, I don't know if this was sponsored by Pfizer, in the past has been sponsored by pharmaceutical companies. I'm not saying whoever made that ad is as an insidious propagandist as Joseph Goebbels. What I am saying is if they were to be, and if they wanted to be, I'm not sure what more they can do that would be more insidious and sick than this. But for those of you who don't know also, Goebbels had, get this out of here. How do I close this? I'm just going to pause it. Goebbels had some interesting expressions. They're not, some expressions are falsely attributed to Goebbels. Others are not. This is one that everybody has heard. And if you haven't heard it, you should know it. And you should know it not for the purposes of using it as an instruction or as a manual. You should know it for identifying lies and identifying propaganda. Because in as much as Joseph Goebbels is a villain of history, you can still learn from the villains of history and from their words. Go look up some of Lenin, Stalin's good read, brainy quotes. You can learn a lot. Joseph Goebbels, attributed with having said, if you tell a lie big enough and keep repeating it, people eventually will come to believe it. Where have we heard this? Where have we seen this in practice? If you were going to understand that someone is trying to convey insidious propaganda by repeating a lie over and over and over again until people believe it, apply this mutatis mutandis to what we've seen in modern memory, recent times. Let's see here. Here we go. This is the Fuller quote. Attributed to Goebbels, though I think there is some disagreement as to whether or not it is in fact his. If you tell a lie big enough and keep repeating it, people will eventually come to believe the lie. The lie can be maintained only for such time as the state can shield people from the political, economic, and or military consequences of the lie. Think international conflict right now. Think Ottawa protests. Repeat the lie. Keep repeating it. You can only maintain it for as long as you can shield the people from the political, economic, or military consequences of the lie. It thus becomes vitally important for the state to use all of its powers to repress dissent. Where have we seen this? For the truth is the mortal enemy of the lie, and thus by extension, the truth is the greatest enemy of the state. I don't know. Set aside the caveat that I'm not sure if Joseph Goebbels is in fact the original utterer of those statements. You know, if I don't care who said it first, if Goebbels didn't say it first, well, good for whoever did. Try to read that and not think of Justin Trudeau. Try to read that. Who is this person? Stop this. Try to read that second part and not think of Justin Trudeau. It thus becomes vitally important for the state to use all of its powers to repress dissent. Bill C-11, locking up Tamara Lich, locking up Pat King, crucifying them. For the truth is the mortal enemy of the lie, and thus by extension, the truth is the greatest enemy of the state. The Ottawa protest was a racist, anti-trans, anti-black racist, xenophobic, anti-Semitic, misogynist, far-right extremist, violent protest. Keep repeating it, and eventually people will believe it. Keep repeating it, and then shield the people from the consequences of that. Shield the people from the truth, which would expose that lie. My goodness. Mark Twain, the more things change. No, sorry, that's terrible. Mark Twain said, history doesn't repeat, but it tends to rhyme. Propaganda is not an end in itself, but a means to an end. If the means achieves the end, then the means is good. The new ministry has no other aim than to unite the nation behind the ideal of the national revolution. Okay, that one's not quite as on point because I should have read it before I read it. Think of the press as a great keyboard on which the government can play. Interesting. Propaganda works best when those who are being manipulated are confident they are acting on their own free will. Wow. My goodness, you can learn a lot from the devil. Okay, anyways, that's it. That's your history lesson for Joseph Goebbels. And Sesame Street. I mean, it's beyond disgust. It's beyond disgusting. Will I be on the Hill this coming long weekend? No, I will not. And this has nothing to do with the fear of getting arrested. This has nothing to do with anything like that, of getting my bank accounts frozen. I would love to be there. I don't think I'm going to be in town. So no, I'm not going to be there, but it is not for any fear of anything. Anyhow. Okay. That's the propaganda coming out of Sesame Street. Amazing. Amazing. I mean, in some jurisdictions, targeting children directly through ads is illegal. Not in all jurisdictions. I learned that the last time we had this discussion. In some jurisdictions. But it's immoral under all circumstances. And let alone when it comes to medical treatments, targeting kids. Disgusting, disgusting, disgusting. Elmo, may you live forever. And as a puppet, you will. Ghislaine Maxwell sentenced to 20 years. Doesn't seem like enough. I guess that's her favor. That's the favor to her. And the favor to everyone else. Ghislaine Maxwell sentenced to 20 years. Case closed. And that's the end of that. What was it? That was from, it was either from Family Guy. Oh, it was from The Simpsons. And that's the end of that. I forget which. I'm not your buddy guy. ESG is the hidden recipe to a lot of this. I don't know what that is. Unless it's stopped global enslavement, and I'm not being hyperbolic. What is ESG? Super sticker, Francine, thank you very much. Elmo was a public service announcement. Biden was going to do it, but couldn't get the words out. The last time this happened, I couldn't get over the fact that Biden is having a freaking Twitter exchange with a freaking cartoon character from Sesame Street, each stroking each other on the back. I was going to go with the more graphic. Hey, thanks for. Oh no, it was Big Bird. Sorry, last time it was Big Bird who got the shot in his wing. His wing is a little sore. Disgusting. They're all disgusting. It's a perversion. It's a perversion of morality. And I don't mean I'm not anything of a Puritan. You know, I think it's immoral, and I would dare say it's almost evil. And I'm saying that only because I'm being polite. Okay, Elmo, you're out of here. Thank you very much for the super chat. Thermal reboot. Mengele would be proud of Elmo too. If you don't know who Mengele is, I think everybody knows who Mengele is. I think more than Goebbels, but maybe I'm, what's the word? Guilty of my own presumptions. Adam Gosman says latest Campbell video. Won't read it because this is not medical advice. Thank you for the super chat. And by the way, one day sooner than later, we're going to be having a lot of doctors. We're going to be doing a lot of interviews with doctors. And I suspect they're going to be exclusive on Rumble. So stay tuned. Stay tuned for that. We've got Dr. Francis Christian lined up. Not tentatively, but for the mid to late July. But we've got a bunch of doctors and we're going to have open, meaningful discussions. So stay tuned. Scary if people don't know. People don't know who Joseph. I ran across people who I know who didn't know who Joseph Goebbels was. So, doesn't know. Just tell me what the words are. I don't know. I can't think of the acronym offhand. Electrostatic. Okay, hold on one second. No, not extra stary, guys. Environmental social government, the new way to judge if you are a good credit risk and if a company is a good risk at Viva Frei. Okay. ESG, environmental social governance. So this is social credit by another name, if that's what it is. Okay. Oh, here we go. ESG, environmental social government score, a social credit for curbing banks and money. Yeah, I didn't know what it was by name, but I definitely know what that is. I'm not trying to protect my own ego. Just also sometimes I can't get acronyms in real time while I'm speaking, reading, sipping cold brew from, this is my mother-in-law's cup. Unbelievable. Okay. So that governance, yes. No, not that one. It was this one. No, that was the one I wanted to bring up. The governance, same expletive. Yes. Okay. So thank you. All right, Elmo. Now, Elmo segued into something. I forget what it was. Oh, that's right. Share screen. Hold on. I'm only going to read the tweet because it's going to allow for the segue. Okay. It's going to allow for the segue into the second subject, but here we go. Yes, this is it. There is no end to the propagandist depravity of the world. What's next? Is Elmo going to talk about the inhumanity of SCOTUS overturning Roe v. Wade and how Justice Clarence Thomas is a very bad man? And I like to think I'm being hyperbolic, but like earlier today, let me just get back to my stream here, the stream. Earlier today, I made the joke, like how long until Democrat politicians or, the people on the left start playing the angle that wait until you see, wait until you see the effects that this SCOTUS decision is going to have. It's going to exacerbate the baby formula shortage. I said this as a sick, sort of sarcastic, twisted thought that if the Babylon Bee were going to write an article, they would write an article to the effect, a satirical article. Politicians lament SCOTUS decision because it's going to exacerbate the baby formula shortage problem. And for those of you who don't know what's going on, it's out of the media cycle. I'm not sure that it's been resolved, the problem, and I don't think it has. There's a baby formula shortage in the United States of America. The country can find tens of billions of dollars to finance foreign wars. They can find the time to put all of their resources together to exacerbate, finance, supply, foreign conflict. They have a baby formula shortage in the United States of America because apparently, like two baby formula companies manufacture 80% of the baby formula in the United States. They've been shut down, at least one of them, since February. And now there's a baby formula shortage in the United States, so much so that Jen Psaki came out at a press conference and said, if you have problems, if you have concerns about baby formula, ask your doctor. So much so that people have been making their own formula at home. So much so that people have been making their own formula at home need doctor's warnings to not do that because you can't provide all the nutrients to a baby that can't take a breast or someone who's not breastfeeding. You can't actually make homemade formulas to provide the nutrients. But they can find weapons and they can finance wars. They can't feed the most vulnerable elements of society. And so I made the sick, sarcastic, what I thought was total satire. How long until they take the angle? Oh my God, it's terrible. It's going to exacerbate the baby formula shortage in the United States. And you know what? People said, sorry, Viva, they did that. They started doing that when the decision leaked. I don't remember that. And I still couldn't believe it. I said, hard evidence or it didn't happen. And there's hard evidence. So let me see if I can go back along the timeline of this. Okay. So, okay. Leo gets whatever you want. Leo gets. I had tweeted out, just going to do the timeline. They've already done that. How long until Democrats try the angle of, quote, SCOTUS is responsible for exacerbating the baby formula shortage with this decision? someone in our incredibly smart community, both on Twitter, YouTube, vivabarneslaw.locals.com, said they've already done that, Viva. Ooh. Oh my goodness. We're going to, yes, please. So stay tuned. Hold on 1 second, people. I will send you the link right away. We're going to have a special guest on the Tamara Lich situation. This is, oh, I like being my own producer. This is, people, share the link around. This is truly unexpected. We're going to have a special guest. Let me just get the links. Here we go. StreamYard. We're going to have a special guest on the Tamara Lich. Here we go. Boom. We'll see when he pops in. They've already done that. I said, impossible. And then I say, can't believe I need hard proof. And I found hard proof. I mean, again, you just don't know what's intended to be satire. Dr. Tracy A. Pearson, JD, there is so much that is sick and twisted about this SCOTUS opinion, and I'm laughing to avoid crying. But maybe they should have taken judicial notice of the baby formula and tampon shortage. But then I'm still, maybe it's satire, but that's not satire. That is serious. Tampon shortage. What do? Justify the big A. It's inconceivable. And when is this from? This is from June 24th. Okay, so this is definitely not the leak time. This is, I had to see who Dr. Tracy was. And apparently from At Law Crime Network. People actually took the angle unironically. But it's even one step further, by the way. It's not the baby formula shortage. It's tampon shortage. So imagine, like when I said last week, the government screws up, the citizens get punished, or the citizens suffer for it. Imagine there's a baby formula shortage in the United States. And I'll tell you one thing, it sure as hell is not because of good governance. Whether or not there's factors beyond our control is arguable. It sure as hell is not because of good governance. It sure as heck is not because of good policy making. It sure as heck is not because the government is doing its job well. That's why babies don't actually have enough to eat. The most vulnerable people in society at the most vulnerable stages of their life, which is why they're the most vulnerable people in society, they don't have enough food to eat. It's because of the government's absolute abject stupidity, corruption, displaced interest, $40 billion to the war in Ukraine. Hey, blame the shortage on Putin. The Putin's baby formula shortage. Just wait for it because it's coming. Okay, so that's it. My satire is actual reality. I'm not keeping our guest waiting 1 second more than I can or ever. This is Keith Wilson, who I've had on the channel before. Get this out of here. I don't want to see that. Who's Tamara Lich's attorney. This was unexpected because I just tweeted him. I'm not going to keep him waiting. We're going to jump into Tamara Lich. This is amazing. Keith, how are you doing? Hold on. You might be on mute, or is it me? Is it me? No, I think it's you. Chat, do you? No, I definitely don't hear him. Chat, is Keith on mute for you? Can't hear him. Keith, you know what? Oh, he's going to come back. Okay, I'm going to... Dude, I didn't know this was going to happen. So everyone share this around, but we'll clip and snip and show this afterwards. Keith Wilson is Tamara Lich's attorney. And I guess we're going to know more about the conditions of Tamara Lich's arrest, the reasons, the justifications. You know what? While he comes back, I'll just pull up one article. We can do this. CBC. No, this is not. I didn't bring up the CBC. I brought up this one here. Where's this from? Where's this from? Ottawa Citizen. I brought this one up because it actually had the tweets, the impugned tweets. Medicine Hat lawyer for. Let me just move. Sorry, scroll my windows here. Okay, we'll wait for Keith to come back, and if his mic doesn't work, we'll just ask him to unplug it. Okay, hold on. Let's see here. Keith, can I hear you now?
Check.
Oh, yeah. Loud and
There we go.
actually smooth and beautiful. Keith, how are you doing?
Exhausted. That's only because we're coming up on the end of 6 weeks of daily cross-examinations in the PECFR Travel Mandate Charter Challenge. Yesterday, we found out from the commissioner, the judge commissioner appointed by the Prime Minister to conduct the Commissioner Public Inquiry into the Emergencies Act, that all of the freedom truckers that I and the Justice Center have been representing have been granted full standing in that process. And of course, the most serious news is received the call about 5 p.m. Alberta time yesterday that Tamara Lich had just been rearrested.
Let's pick that apart just one by one, because people may not know that you're representing Brian Peckford, the last living signatory to Canada's Charter of Rights, in his federal challenge of the travel restrictions. And so you said 6 weeks of depositions for that?
That's correct. We're wrapping up. I've got one more cross-examination to do tomorrow, and then my part's done. We've got one the day after. But
let me just make sure I understand it. 6 weeks of deposition. That's discovery for Americans. 6 weeks of it.
Exhausting. Yeah. Normally your prep time is 2 to 3 days minimum for each day of cross. So we haven't had that. So we've had to make up for it by working till 1 or 2 in the morning and getting up at 6 or 7 and then working 6 days a week. So it's been a long go, but it's an important case, and the team's still highly motivated despite our fatigue. And we're going to drive forward on that case.
And in that case, I believe, did the government not move to dismiss because it's a moot question now?
Yeah, I can update you on that as well. Oh boy. So this morning we received a ruling from the court. We've had at least 2 emergency applications before the federal court each day. Some of them starting very early out here in the West, but that's fine. And first, the government wanted us to withdraw our charter challenge, and they were prepared to offer it on a without cost basis. We had prior instructions from Premier Peckford, no, full steam ahead. So we said, no, we're not accepting that. Then they said, well, you need to stop because your case is moot, meaning because they had suspended some of the travel vax mandates, then there's no longer a live issue for the court to hear. We said no. So we're fighting over when the court should hear that mootness application. Then when that didn't work to derail us, a couple of days later, last week, they hit us with an adjournment application on a Sunday night, which we argued, and we just got the ruling today, midday, and the court has agreed to rescheduling of the September 19th 5-day hearing. So we were supposed to wrap up our evidence this week, do all our legal briefs and factums and motion records or records, and get those to the court so we could have a 5-day hearing September 19th. That's now being pushed forward to October 31st. So we still got a pretty good timeline. It would be nice to do it faster. By then, we might have these mandates back in place as well. So it is what it is, but that's the latest on the Peckford Charter Challenge. If it's the case in the fall that the federal government does what they've been musing they might do, which is to redefine what an unvaccinated flyer is from someone who's got 2 doses to someone who has to have 3 of the vaccine, then that's going to expand the number of unvaccinated Canadians who are impacted by these mandates from about 5 million up to 20 million. So it will be interesting times come the fall if they actually make that move. And they're a little boxed in because all the evidence we've had come out in the cross-examinations and in the various expert reports is that after 6 months, the effectiveness of the double dose on preventing Omicron is either 0 or close to 0. So this whole idea that there's a vaccinated flyer right now with 2 doses isn't even a thing in science. So interesting times ahead on that one.
And also now, just to break that down a touch for those who might not appreciate it, the government made a motion to dismiss on the basis that it's moot, in that, hey, look, we've lifted the restrictions, so now you no longer are suing for an existing restriction, although they've suspended it. Kind of like what they did in other circumstances. We don't need to get into them. So that has not yet been debated on the merits. The motion.
That's correct. And what we've taken the position, that this is unbelievable what's happened in our country. Millions of Canadians had their charter rights grossly violated, expressly violated. And so it's caused so many of us, not just lawyers, but others, to say, hey, does this charter really mean anything? I've joked, I think maybe when you interviewed me before, that I was going to sue my law school and get them to give me my money back for my constitutional law course because they led me to believe that the charter actually meant something, right? So I'm being sarcastic, but the serious point is the court needs to rule. Are there limits on the power of the federal government, and are they limited by the charter? And can a future government go ahead and just strip this many Canadians and effectively make them? I was cross-examining one of their witnesses, senior government official, and I had to do this slowly, break them down, walk them slowly stuff so they didn't squirrel out on me, and basically got them to admit that unvaccinated became political prisoners. That I said, so if this person wants to get back to England, is their option is swim, right? And they had to say, yeah. So we need a court to rule on whether or not the government acted within its authority or exceeded its authority. And that's going to be our position because the government said over and over again in their press conference, the first word in their press release from June 14th was suspension, pause. They won't hesitate to bring them back. So that's going to be some of our arguments around mootness.
How long does that hearing take on mootness, or how long is it scheduled for? Or is it purely written and the judge will render without a hearing? Will there be a viva voce hearing?
Yeah, no, it's going to be a viva voce hearing. It won't be viva voce evidence, but it'll be an in-person hearing.
Okay.
And it's scheduled. We found out here hours ago that they're going to use our previous slot. So we were previously scheduled for 5 days to argue the main charter case on the 19th of September. They're now going to use that slot as the mootness argument. And then the main, if it's not struck out for mootness, the main case will be heard on October 31st. And by then, as I've already said, we might have mandates back again because, boy, these politicians and bureaucrats, they're like the kid who's had ice cream at the ice cream store for the first time. They love this power that they've acquired over Canadians, and I don't think they're going to give it up. And they're by October, they might be just itching to get back into that ice cream store.
It's also from a economic perspective, it's so disgusting. They're going to argue on a motion to dismiss for 5 days. If these were private actors and it wasn't the government doing this on our tax dollars, probably would not waste time, effort. What is all that goes into arguing on a motion to dismiss for 5 days? But they have limitless coffers, and they're going to drag Peckford through all of this. And if you guys want to do it, it's going to cost you. It's not going to cost them because they're paying for it with our money. Atrocious. Okay, not surreal. Atrocious. That's Peckford. So we got the schedule for that. What was the other? So then there's Tamara. Well, there was a second thing that you had mentioned.
Emergencies Act, Public Commission Inquiry. We just received full standing. So we're now going to be, so for those things that happened at critical moments in Ottawa, where the federal government and the ministers saying, oh, we can't tell you what was happening because of cabinet confidentiality and cabinet privilege. Well, guess what? My clients were on the other end of the phone, and they don't have they're not invoking some privilege. So this is going to be very significant, I think, depending on the process, and if it's fair and transparent, we'll be able to, through their testimony, expose exactly what happened, when it happened. And I think the obvious conclusion will be to any neutral observer is that there was zero justification for our Prime Minister invoking the Emergencies Act against Canadians and sending in the goons and beating up Canadians.
Okay. Well, though I just realized when I had interviewed Peckford, the one question I didn't ask him, his reaction when he found out that Trudeau was going to invoke the Emergencies Act. I know you had mentioned it during our interview. His reaction was, "Oh my God!" It was
dear Lord.
Okay, that's, I guess, good. And people in the chat and everyone should appreciate the Lord's work that you're doing, because I can't imagine the stress and the time. I can imagine it. I don't want to. Now, speaking of stress, and you get a call. What day is it today? Was it yesterday that you got the call, or it was
Yes.
Sunday?
No, yesterday.
Tamara Lich rearrested in Medicine Hat. What happened?
Well, she was rearrested in Medicine Hat. She lives in Medicine Hat. She works in Medicine Hat. She was arrested by the Medicine Hat police. So Medicine Hat has its own police force. It's a city was one of our frontier towns. So it's got a long history in southeastern Alberta. And Tamara used, one of her former jobs for many years was she was the 911 dispatcher for the police. And so she still knows a lot of the police officers. So they were very cordial and probably a little reluctant, but they arrested her and took her to the remand center. And we were able to mobilize the criminal lawyers team that we helped coordinate and try and find out what's going on. Why is she arrested? The initial information we had was that it was on a Canada-wide warrant. In the last 4 hours, the Ottawa City Police have tweeted that they arrested her on a Canada-wide warrant. And that may not seem very significant to people unless you talk to a police officer or a criminal lawyer, and they'll say, what? There you go.
Yeah,
right
I'm going to get the tweet because it's, here we go.
Yeah, you have it.
Tamara Lich has been, yeah, you need to explain, because I don't know the full extent of what that means, but I can imagine how the
Sure.
Ottawa police issue a Canada-wide warrant, incidentally, for someone who they knew her whereabouts anyhow, unless I'm totally mistaken.
Yeah.
I did not have nice words.
Pretty fixed routine, like a lot of us, gets up in the morning and drives to work and drives home and goes to her sister's and then goes to see some of her kids and grandkids, that nefarious activity like that. Can't have that in Canada. So they usually only do a Canada-wide warrant for a murderer, a multiple rapist, someone who's on a armed bank robbery spree. But for people who normally have a warrant in British Columbia for their arrest, Danny Bulford told me yesterday, and former RCMP, he used to investigate homicide and major crimes when he was stationed up in Whitehorse. And he said, if I pulled somebody over and they had a warrant for BC for, theft over and stealing cars and robbing and assault, he said, we wouldn't arrest them on that warrant. They'd have to wait till they got back to BC and get arrested there. So a Canada-wide warrant is something that's rarely used. And that's what they're claiming they've done. So now she had a preliminary hearing before the court late last night, virtually. And the net result is the steps in the process are the Ottawa police have until July 4th to come to Alberta to pick her up and transport her back to Ottawa, which is apparently their intention. Once she gets back to Ottawa, she will have the opportunity to go before a judge in some kind of contested application. Often these things aren't contested, but as we've seen with the highly motivated Crown prosecutor in this case, that it's fully anticipated that it will be contested. And the criminal lawyers will make the argument that she either hasn't breached the bail conditions or the circumstances are such that she should not be continued to be held in custody.
She's in, I guess it's jail. She's in jail in Medicine Hat.
Correct.
I don't want to look like I have big city stereotypes of small town Canada, but what does am I right in imagining that maybe the jail cell in Medicine Hat is not the most comfortable place to be?
It's probably not dissimilar to the one in Ottawa, the remand center, because it is a regional center. And there is some talk about possibly moving her to the remand center in Lethbridge. So it'd be quite similar and hopefully better conditions than the Ottawa Remand Center, because I've been hearing lots of bad things about that place. But she's in jail. She's a grandmother, a freedom fighter who has no criminal record, who has contributed to her community, who hasn't engaged in violence, who has constantly advocated against violence, advocated for respect for the rule of law and government stopping its overreach and following the charter. And she's back in jail.
I'm gonna pull this up, and you'll tell me what you're allowed to discuss, what you can, and what you do or do not know. Oh, this doesn't have the oh, darn it. Okay, that was just the article. Sorry, that one didn't have the purported Facebook post.
Yeah,
Keith,
you should bring that up, because that is, and I can give you some breaking news on that.
Yeah, let me see if I can't find it within a matter of seconds. Freedom.
So I can.
By the way, I just wanted to bring this up. This was the same article. This is when I talk about, you know, the laundering of taxpayer dollars to, you know, prop up these. On the Ottawa Citizen, you get government paid COVID ads. I just want everyone to see that this is part of the cycle of the corruption of subsidizing failing legacy media through direct funding, CBC, Radio Canada, 600 million bailout for all the rest, and then this continued sustained taxpayer funding. But let me see if I can't find the actual Tamara Lich arrested Facebook post. Let's see if this okay, maybe Vancouver. So I know I saw it somewhere. I just can't find the actual Facebook post. Oh, son of a bee sting.
Try throw Twitter in, the word Twitter.
Okay, Facebook post, Facebook, Twitter. Sorry, people. I couldn't news. I'll go to news. Okay.
So what I can share with you is we now have clarity on which of her bail conditions she's alleged to have breached. There you go. You got it. You got it. That's it right there.
Can we see this, people? So I can't see my screen right now, but
yeah, just scroll down a little bit more.
Weeks after she was released, Lich was notified she'd been selected as a recipient of the JCCF award. We talked about this. So proud of my friend Tamara for earning the George Jonas Freedom Award, named after, I believe, a Hungarian individual who fled Hungary and communism in Hungary to come here and fight for freedom. A beautiful tribute to George Jonas, and so proud of Tamara for her determination and strength. Cheers to freedom.
So
go.
This is at the so the allegation of breach of her bail conditions that's caused her to go back to jail is that under her bail conditions, she's not to have any communication with a few named individuals. One of them is Tom Marazzo. You've had Tom Marazzo on your program. Tom Marazzo is an outstanding Canadian. He is a former Army captain in our armed forces. He was extensively assisting on the ground in Ottawa and keeping the emergency lanes open and trying to move trucks in the manner that the mayor and the police had asked. So she's not allowed to have communication with Tom Marazzo except in the presence of or through counsel, one of the through lawyers. Well, off camera in that photograph are her lawyers and Tom's lawyers. And someone had asked for a picture, not for posting on social media, but just to remember the event. This is a historic event. And so Tom's standing there, Tamara's there, you know, a former Army captain dressed in a nice business suit. She's in a beautiful dress. The others are dressed very formally. You know, like if you've ever seen a bunch of dirty, rotten criminals in Canada, I mean, look at that, eh? Unbelievable. So it's that photograph. It's for engaging in that with the lawyers just off the camera that the Ottawa City Police issued a Canada-wide warrant, had her arrested in Medicine Hat, and now will be flying out on the taxpayers' dime, some detectives to handcuff her and probably shackle her and put her in an airplane and fly her back to Ottawa on the taxpayers' dime.
I mean, I'm speechless, but only because I'm actually enraged. Like I get angry enough or frustrated enough that you get speechless or you cry. I'll be speechless right now. There's no words. There's nothing there's no words for this. Mike Cornelson, made an interesting point. Some people are saying the timing is to keep her off the streets so that she doesn't go and encourage another protest on Canada Day. If I'm inclined, I would lend some credence to Mike Cornelson's concept, trying to agitate the protesters for July 1st to make them lash out in some sort of rage, so they can then justify cracking down even more. But Keith,
especially if the plan is to bring her to Ottawa for Canada Day. Think about that. That makes no sense, right? So that's one of the theories that a number of us have, and the other original convoy organizers have discussed. We had a Zoom call last night. Is this a provocative move by Trudeau, knowing that there's already, in any given Canada Day, there's 50 to 100,000 or more. If the Queen or a Prince comes, I'm told it's 500,000 or 600,000. So they always plan for well over 100,000 people being in Ottawa, Canada. We already know there's going to be a significant number of people there. It just seems like such a provocative move. So I'm hoping that they don't transport her until the 4th. We'll know soon enough. But there's nothing that's right about this. We all know that. Look at the nature of the underlying alleged offense. It's conspiracy to commit mischief. And it is become clear yet again that this is politics. This is the government using its political power and its police powers to harm and silence and punish those who dissent and say things the government doesn't like. Now, characters like McGregor from CTV there in Ottawa will say, people should know that the RCMP is independent. No, leaders send messages. And our prime minister and his highly unethical cabinet have sent messages that they want those who speak out against the government punished. They want fear. They want Canadians afraid to exercise their rights. That's my view as to what's going on here. You cannot explain it in any other way. This makes no sense in terms of the nature of the charge, the Canada-wide warrant, the cost of bringing her back, the nature of the alleged breach. It looks like a picture of some Canadians at an award ceremony. Oh, wait a minute. It was a Freedom Award.
That is the official theory. No,
it's not a theory. It's confirmed as of about 2 hours ago. I had a detailed debrief with the criminal team that's reviewed the disclosure package.
Okay.
It's
so people were saying in the chat, let us see the what do they call it? The complaint, the criminal charges. Is that document public yet or no?
No, it's not public yet.
Okay. So it's
these
confirmed.
Systems don't work, you guys. I don't know how you think these systems work. They don't. It's like, you phone one place. Oh, we don't have the disclosure yet. Or, we're still got to be reviewed by the sergeant. Oh no, the sergeant's on a break. Can you call back? Who are you again? Oh no, I don't think she's here now. Like, it's just a royal runaround. It's not, and that's normal. It's not that they're doing anything. If anything, they're moving the documents much faster than they normally would for someone who just got arrested for drunk driving or something.
Okay, so that it's no longer rumor, it's no longer supposition. This is confirmed.
There's the crime that she's alleged to have committed is on your screen.
And who is Stacey Cowder that posted who posted this in the first place?
She is one of the people who was in Ottawa, often in the operations centers. She was not on the board. At no time has she been on the board of the Freedom Corp or in that way, but she was a person that I recognize, that I saw from the 19 days I was on the ground in Ottawa. And she had asked for a picture, but again, there was many lawyers there including some that had just helped with Tom and Tamara's application to the public inquiry commissioner. And also, too, I should tell you, this is an important detail, actually. I learned of the deadline to file for standing for people who want to participate in the public inquiry relating to the Emergencies Act. This is a full commission. That's different. Judge with judge powers to subpoena, to compel, all that stuff. So we thought, oh, they're not going to want Tamara and Chris Barber and Tom Marazzo and RCMP Danny Bulford and stuff anywhere near that inquiry room to reveal the truth. To my surprise, and to the credit of the inquiry, I received an email from one of the commissioner's lawyers asking me if I was still representing these individuals, and if I was, making me aware that I should apply for them to have standing to participate. I thought, well, this is encouraging. So that's significant. So I and other lawyers, including some lawyers that were in the room in that photograph, the previous day had been working with both Tom and Tamara to finalize the details of our standing application to the public inquiry that had been requested by the public inquiry's lawyer. Okay, so in other words, we had very good reason to be communicating and needing all of these people to be together and communicate with us as their lawyers.
Keith, I mean, I don't even know what, I mean, there's nothing to say. There's nothing to say. You have I'll call them trolls, or the people out there, just don't break the law, don't violate your bail conditions, and you won't get arrested. And now we know that it is confirmation of the rumor that it was a Facebook post of a picture. It wasn't even Tamara that posted that and said, hold the line, fight, fight, fight. Someone else at the JCCF gala, where I said, I mean, when I was listening to the hearing with the judge, I was thinking to myself, they love these ambiguous provisions. The prosecution's got to love it. It smelled not like a setup from the judge. I think the judge had it right to some extent.
I do too. I think you're right.
But hey, the Crown loves the ambiguous provisions. The Crown loves these terms, which are so onerous to the extent that they're even comprehensible. They can now say this picture, Canada-wide warrant. She's going to be in detention center in Medicine Hat until they come from Ottawa to pick her up, drive her to Ottawa, either for or after Canada Day. And my goodness, if she gets down there,
fly her.
Fly her. Okay, it's
and the only reason I say that is the detectives would probably they feel it would be beneath them to do what Tamara's had to do, which is drive across the country. They'll fly. I don't know how they're gonna fly her, but they're gonna fly.
People are saying she's in court tomorrow in Ottawa. Keith, are you able to confirm?
It's possible. We don't know for sure.
Okay,
it's going to depend on how quickly they can get here and get her there. It is conceivable that she will be here and attend virtually, but that is not the practice. The practice is the court has no interest, an Ontario court has no interest in having a prisoner in another province appearing before them at all. That's just not how it works. And if they do, they bring them there, but they only do it for the most serious of offenders. And so we know that the subject matter of her crime is not serious mischief. So why is this serious? It's serious because it's political, and they're trying to make a political statement, and she's a political prisoner.
Okay. I could keep you all day, Keith, but I know I can't. What's next on your schedule now? I mean, first of all, thank you, not just tremendously, thank you sincerely for coming, letting me know you could do this. What's next on your schedule?
Next on my schedule is to deal with scheduling for Peckford, but also to brief the board of the Freedom Corp on the latest. I know you have big reach, and I thought I've had so many inquiries. I thought, how can I get the most current information out as quickly as possible to the most number of people? And I thought, Viva Frei.
This is it. And I'm gonna clip certain portions of this and then put it on the Clips channel, put it on Twitter so people can know. It's outrageous. Provocative is an understatement. They know it's Canada Day. I say they can use this as an excuse to try to actually provoke people, or they can use this as a pretext to have provocateurs in the crowd, the random Jackanini walking around with a Yahtzee flag that no one invited to provoke whatever. So Justin Trudeau can say, look at these rowdy Canadians. I said it before, he's going to criminalize Canada Day, and he's halfway there.
Can I say a couple of things that I'm trying to think of what Tamara would want me to say? Because as you can imagine, I speak with her daily, and I have since January. The first thing I know she would want, well, her last words to Eva and I were when she was at the jail. She said, tell Canada that she's arrested. So we're doing that. But more importantly, I know she would want Canadians to be peaceful, that she would want them to be lawful, and she would want them not to give Trudeau the excuse that he may want to characterize Canadians who disagree with what the government's done as violent or anything else. So she is calling upon everyone to be peaceful in the way that we were in Ottawa. The other thing is, the Justice Center for Constitutional Freedoms has, without hesitation, been covering all of the heavy lifting legally. And there is a lot of it, as you can tell. And so if people are wondering about how they can help, a donation to the Justice Center and you get your charitable receipt, that's a good thing. But we may have to do some other funding because she's now losing 2 weeks of work. She's at least 2 weeks of work. She has bills to pay. She's going to be stuck in Ontario if we can get her out, and we're going to need to get her home. So we're going to look at some way that those who want to help her with the immediate financial predicament and peril the government's put her in, to find some vehicle that we can do that without the government seizing the bank account or serving another Mariva injunction on us or something. So I'll stay tuned on that. We're going to try and figure something out where people can help her directly with her and her family's expenses.
Now I know I'm going to post all of these links in the pinned comment. I know there's a JCCF donation page in general. Is there a specific one for Tamara Lich?
If the trucker defense one is for Tamara.
Okay. Do you know offhand if I'm going to put it in right now? It's JCCF.
Yeah, you'll see it when it's in the drop down. I think it's the first one.
I'll post that afterwards.
Yeah, and Trucker Legal Defense Fund, I think it says.
A contribution of my own. No, Keith, the problem is you say it, Tamara says it, don't give them an excuse. What they've proven since day one of this protest, they don't even need to have an act to fabricate an excuse or turn you into the criminal. They've turned Tamara Lich into a criminal. And so, Keith, I said it a few times, and just to make sure I'm not wrong, when they accuse her of conspiring to commit mischief or counseling, they are, in fact, at least in part, referring to what she said when she got arrested. Hold the line. Is that part and parcel of the evidence against her?
Yeah, and it's amazing. The Crown is so obsessed he can't open his mind, because the expression "hold the line," and we've been collecting the videos and the pictures of this. And they've been getting them sent to me. So when the convoy was traveling across the country from various different directions, you will see under underpasses before a single truck had arrived in Ottawa, hold the line. Okay, well, obviously there was no line and there was no border or anything, right? So what does that mean? You will still see the expression hold the line being used in various settings. Well, what does it mean? And she explained this in her testimony in the last bail review hearing. Hold the line to her means respecting the rule of law, holding government to account for its overreach, and expecting that governments will respect Canadians' charter rights. That's what hold the line means. And they've characterized it as the Crown has sought to some nefarious, unlawful statement.
We've been saying hold the line on this channel since last year. Barnes always says never forgive, never forget, hold the line. And well before Ottawa, in respect of other alleged wrongdoings. It's atrocious. I'm glad people are going to see this now. People are going to know what's going on. And the sad reality, there doesn't have to be violence on Canada Day in Ottawa for Justin Trudeau to pretend that there was, or to cherry pick one particular incident, bring in the police, and provoke the very violence that he wanted in the first place. Okay, Keith, what else? I don't want to leave us on a black pill. Do you have
Well, I think you know what I think is well, why are Canadians upset? Because they know the country, they know our values, true north, strong and free. They know, they have pride in our compassion and our tolerance for one another. That's what's so remarkable about this prime minister, is that he's on the one hand tried to be this great virtue signaler and saying we should all be tolerant of various cultures and religions, which I completely 100% support and advocate and teach my children. But then along comes the vaccine, COVID stuff. And it's like, oh no, well, there's a big exception. We don't tolerate the unvaccinated. What do we do with, misogynistic, racist, they take up space. How do we deal with these people? Horrific language from a leader that in our history has led to great tragedy and loss of life. So his actions and his words are not representative of so many Canadians, good, honest, hardworking Canadians that I know. And I'm confident that at the end of the day, we're going to prevail. And we just got to stay true to our values and call this out for what it is. It's authoritarian overreach. It's abuse by the police, and expect our institutions, our courts to uphold the rule of law.
All right. Will you'll pop back on when there's updates if you can?
Absolutely.
Okay, Keith, I'm going to play a video after you leave so that no one accuses you of being a part of it. It's just Justin Trudeau praising the basic dictatorship of China. But I had some stuff lined up that I was going to bring up anyhow. But Keith, thank you very much. Everyone in the chat, I'm going to post the links to JCCF so everybody knows where to go to support the work that they're doing. Keith, if there's any specific link, message it to me and I'll put it in afterwards. But I'll post the links and people can know where to go to support Tamara, JCCF in general. Sincerely, thank you for everything you're doing. I don't have the stomach to talk about it. I don't know how you have the stomach to do it, but there are stronger and thicker skinned people out there than me, and God needs them. So thank you very much, Keith, for doing it.
Thank you for your time and your audience as well.
Okay. Talk to you soon.
See you later.
Bye. It's enough to turn your stomach, but if that weren't enough, let me just go get the other thing that I was going to bring up. No, that's not the right screen. Stop that screen. What did I just do? I thought I shut down the stream. Share screen. I'll post the links, people. I'm trying to find the exact link to Tamara Lich's or the truckers JCCF support page in particular. Let me just see where. Oh, here we go. When people tell you who they are, listen. And listen to this. I've heard this clip before, but I didn't hear it from this angle. So I picked up something new this time.
Of admiration
God, get ready to barf, people.
of admiration I actually have for China. Because
by the way, everyone hear that in the background? People were laughing because they thought it was a joke. Listen, right about here.
Because
right there.
Because
they thought he was joking. He wasn't joking.
Of admiration I actually have for China, because their basic dictatorship is allowing them to actually turn their economy around on a dime and say we need to go green as fast as we need to start investing in solar. Of admiration I actually have for China. Because they
can't even believe it. People thought he was joking. All right, now I'm going to read a bunch of super chats that I missed, and after this, I'm going to give a healthy donation to the JCCF. Yeah, they can't even raise money directly for her because how the government might seize that money, even if it goes through Give, Send, Go. Give, Send, Go was forced to return all of their convoy donations to avoid it being seized by the government. They said, we can no longer meet our objective. We are therefore reimbursing everyone who donated. It's pretty clear. Trudeau is a well-seasoned bully. He is a well-seasoned abuser. He is an abuser, pure and simple. He is a man with contempt for his fellow humans, for his fellow people kind. No government should tell a woman, no government, politician, or man should tell a woman what to do, what she can and cannot choose to do with her own body. But if you don't get vaccinated, woman, you're a misogynist, extremist, and you ain't flying in Canada. Thermal Reboot, welcome to the channel. Kevin Klapik says, seems like many politicians, bureaucrats, want to rule with an iron fist instead of government. The arrogance is infuriating. As a whole, they are the biggest grifters in the modern world, creating more problems than solving. I think that creating problems rather than solving them, I think it's true of all governments throughout history. But as is divide and conquer. I mean, these concepts are old. Orwell wasn't predicting the future. He was just observing the past and the present and creating a delivery mechanism, a timeless delivery mechanism. The G in ESG stands for governance. It's an important difference because ESG has to do with controlling corporate governance, not the government. Well taken. Thank you very much. Medhat Remand Center, 4:30 today for Tamara. Bring free Tamara signs. Thank you for the super chat. Anyone who happens to be in Medicine Hat, never been there. The overwhelming majority of states have changed nothing since Roe overturned. This doesn't ban... dude, we've talked about this at length yesterday. It doesn't ban anything. But the people who say it bans things are ignorant, deliberately ignorant, which makes them malicious. And, as we're going to see with Anthony Housefather out of Canada, racist. And yes, I am going to use that word to talk about other people when they act in racist ways. T. McKinnon, thank you very much. What do we got here? Sorry, I had to pop out and back in again. Isn't this essentially judicial harassment? Despite being Canadian, I don't know. Do we even have laws preventing that? We have malicious prosecution laws in Canada, but good luck. Good luck proving it. We have malicious prosecution standards. I won't pretend to be able to recite them offhand. There have been cases of malicious prosecution in Canada. The threshold is very, very high. I'm not your guy, buddy. I'm not your buddy guy. Thank you very much. Environmental, social, and governance. Jeez, it's amazing. A typo can get a lot of people to super chat for the correction. Thank you. And thank you for clarifying. Wow. So she literally didn't break her conditions. She's being harassed by the government. Sad day for Canada. It's been sad years for Canada. I understood that it was that picture that served as the basis for a Canada-wide warrant for her arrest. Now we have the confirmation. Do go to Ottawa and be peaceful like the veterans. Be peaceful regardless. And you be peaceful even if you know the government is going to fabricate the violence or punish you as a violent offender, even if you are the most peaceful person on earth. They may take our lives, but they may never take our dignity or our freedom. In fact, I prefer they can take our lives, but they can't take our freedom is one thing. They can take your freedom, but don't let them take your dignity. All government buildings have been fenced, including the lawns. Parliament Hill is sealed off to vehicle traffic, and people are seeing RCMP armored vehicles being brought in. Party vans. Andrei Tukulescu, thank you very much. Love that dog. I don't like shepherds as a breed, but I can appreciate a beautiful dog when I see them. They're too smart, and I prefer short-haired dogs. Don't ask how I ended up with Winston, but okay. We will remain peaceful. Cotab123, thank you very much. Your avatar is not smart Skittles. I thought that was Skittles. It's not. Okay, we got Jason Lippert. We also see Hold the Line in the big A protests in the States. Don't expect consistency, people. I've heard rumors, I can't talk about rumors. Trudeau is afraid of us. And he was bullied in high school. Well, who was it that said that he beat him up in high school? Some celebrity, I forget who it was. Is it just me, or does it seem like Trudeau cares more about global issues, primarily American, than Canadian issues? No. Oh, well, he cares more about global issues. Anything that will allow international bodies to govern national interests, national policy. But he cares about American issues in as much as he can derive political benefit from them at home. Go exploit tragedies in America to implement absolutely disjunct policy in Canada. Take Uvalde so that you can then, enact new policy in Canada that has nothing to do with Uvalde. Talk about the Big A decision in the States so as to make it even more accessible in a country that has no federal criminal laws restricting the Big A at any stage of pregnancy. But he loves it. Anything to give him more power, anything to give him work to do at home. Just joke, Justin. Just joke, Justin joking. Joke, Justin jokes. Let's see if I make this. Just joke, Justin. Joking joke, Justin. Okay, man. Thank you. Yeah, we're not done. We're not done with Trudeau or his government. Listen. Oh, son of a beasting. I just saw two more chats come here. Okay. After these two, we're going. Anyone going to Ottawa, a Vuvuzela makes the same honk as a truck. And they're allowed during soccer games. The Vuvuzela are like those long horns. Anyone go to Ottawa, behave, ask police for permission and get it all on camera. I cannot go to Ottawa, people. Little Rock, how you doing, sir? Just got here in time to give you a cup of coffee. Jury out on my trial. Good luck. If your client deserves to win, Little Rock is an attorney in Arkansas. Little Rock, if your client deserves to win, may your client win. And may your hard work, one way or the other, be recognized and pay off. Okay, now, not done with Trudeau yet or his government. Oh, I know I had multiple takes on this one, and I'm going to have to get to them. I responded with hashtag, what's his name? His first name? Anthony Housefather is a racist. I don't run around throwing around that accusation. But when people act like racists, subtle, low-key racists, I'm going to call them out on it. Anthony Housefather, Anthony Housefather, for those who don't know, he's a liberal. I think he was like a conservative. Anthony Housefather is a politician in Canada. And I believe he ran with the Conservatives at one point. And Anthony Housefather, let me see something. I'm pretty sure he was conservative. He was running in the last federal election. Here we go. Housefather was reelected. Yada, yada, yada. Oh, no, beating the Conservative. This was 2019. Whatever. He's a liberal politician. I think he's in Hampstead and Côte St. Luc, just around the corner. Côte? Yeah, so he ran in Côte St. Luc, which is the riding next to mine in the last federal election. He's a politician. I don't use the term willy-nilly. I think there's nothing more serious than accusing someone of being racist or intolerant. When they act like low-key racists or overt bigots, they deserve to be called what they are, especially when they gallivant around calling everyone else that of which they are guilty. This is Anthony Housefather. Right now, he's the member of parliament from Mount Royal, that's in Montreal, parliamentary secretary, public services and procurement. Okay. It's a very respectable position. Maybe he should know what he's talking about before he talks, and maybe he should not be racist when he does. I'm going to read this. Let me just make sure I can see it in the chat here. Not in the chat, in the stream. This is Anthony Housefather's tweet. Every Canadian politician has to tweet the virtue signaling, oh, won't someone think of the children, except they don't want to think of the children. It's quite the opposite. Oh, won't someone think of a way that will allow us to do certain things to unborn infants? It's like the exact opposite of won't someone, Miss Reverend Lovejoy, won't someone please think of the children? Unless they think they're thinking of the children by sparing the children an undue hardship of life. Doesn't matter. However you feel about this, what's important is to get it right and know what the hell you're talking about. And also, don't be racist. The only bright side of the majority decision overruling Roe is that they seem to only want to bring the country back 50 years. Justice Thomas just singling out the black justice. Why? Oh, because I'm going to bring up Black history in America. Justice Thomas, concurring opinion, seems to want to bring us back to pre-Civil War times. Hey, Justice Thomas, Anthony Housefather from Canada thinks he knows what's best for you. Anthony Housefather from Côte St. Luc, Montreal, thinks he knows what's best for Black Americans. He thinks he knows that you, Justice Clarence Thomas, singled you out. Singled out the Black justice to bring up a pre-Civil War reference. He knows better. You're an idiot. The Black justice wants to bring America back to pre-Civil War era. Doesn't he realize that that's bad for Black Americans? This is not even low-key racism. There are actual impolite racist terms that people have for exactly what Housefather is saying right here. Justice Thomas, there was another guy who used that word. I will never even retweet it. Another individual had choice words for Justice Clarence Thomas. It's the race traitor allegation. But Anthony Housefather, who seems to have misunderstood the impact, or actually the substance of the decision, singles out the Black justice to lecture him on the consequences or the essence or how bad America was pre-Civil War. Lecturing, he knows better. The Parliamentary Secretary for Public Services and Procurement of Canada knows more about the Constitution of the United States than a sitting, and I dare say genius, member of the Supreme Court of the United States of America. Anthony Housefather, an empty barrel makes more noise than a full one. Hold on. Sorry, Twitter. See what the response to Anthony Housefather was. And they don't even understand the substance of the decision is that it doesn't do anything other than compel the states to implement whatever laws it hasn't set America back to the pre-Civil War. Has nothing to do with anything. It's just racially loaded accusations from a white liberal politician in Canada lecturing, admonishing a Black justice of the Supreme Court of the United States because one thinks he knows better than the other. It is racism by definition. Hold on. What was I doing? I lost my thread of thought here. Well, can you imagine him? Hey, Housefather, why didn't you single out Amy Coney Barrett and say that you know more about what's good for women than Amy Coney Barrett? Why don't you single out the woman justice on the Supreme Court and then lecture her on what it means to be a woman looking out for women's rights? True bigotry is thinking that you know better than the minorities you purport to protect. That is true bigotry. True bigotry is regarding minorities as lesser than you, inferior to your own good judgment, where when they agree with you, it's because they're so smart, and when they don't, it's because you know what's better for them than they know what's good for them. Sir, I will take Jabba 42. I will take 30% of that, but I will thank you wholeheartedly for the support. The Liberal Party, the one that gallivants around calling everyone racist, everyone misogynist, everyone transphobe, they are the ones implementing racist policies, implementing policy that they know has a disparate impact on minorities, and taking to social media to lecture minorities about how much more they, in their infinite superiority, know than a sitting member of the United States Supreme Court of America. Anthony Housefather, well played. You're an idiot. Sorry for the typo, folks. Here's another pittance for Viva to make up for it. Hatwit, thank you very much. What do you think will be the first? Who do you think will be the first person to go down on the client list of Jeffrey Epstein or Maxwell? Keep up the great work. If I'm being a realist, and I'm saying barring any new evidence, barring any discovery of new incriminating evidence, based on what we know now, nobody is, unless something new comes up, nobody is going down. This is just being wrapped up with a nice, neat little bow, and it's being sent to, the archives in the museum in the Indiana Jones movie, where it's going to gather dust and no one's going to understand what is truly in that Pandora's box. Okay. Oh, I believe I said as much to, I was not in Housefather's district. I said as much to Garno to his face and on Twitter. If that's what you meant by that comment. So that's it. Housefather lecturing. But there were other equally bad takes. Oh gosh, darn it. Listen to this. Listen to this, people. Y'all gonna puke in your mouth a little more if you haven't already vomited. If you don't already have what is it called? Gastro reflux? What is that? GRD. Gastro endo reflux. If you haven't already vomited in your mouth just a touch today, here you go. Here you go.
Justice Thomas.
First of all, I don't typically make fun of. I don't make fun of the way people look, and I'm not making fun of the way Hillary Clinton looks. I'm just saying that's a funny. When you ever played the game when you were kids and you just like back in the older days when you had a VHS recorder with a pause button and you'd go play, pause, and you just catch people in mid-face and it would always be hilarious. That's a good one. Now this sounded like it was going to be quite loud. Let me just lower this down a little bit. But let's hear what Hillary has to say.
Justice Thomas has sort of floated that out there about contraceptive rights, contraception, and about same-sex marriages. But other justices have pushed back to say, no, he's really sort of on his own with that.
Well,
Don't believe that?
Well, he may be on his own, but he's signaling, as he often did. People
signaling. Hillary Clinton is accusing other people of signaling. Okay, sorry, just.
As he often did. I went to law school with him.
Mm-hmm.
He's been a person of grievance for as long as I've known him. Resentment, grievance, anger.
I'm just going to throw this out there, by the way. Suggestive racism right here. A person of grievance sounds oddly like a person of color. The way it's said, the way it's delivered. First of all, I would never describe anyone as a person of grievance unless I'm already in the framework of referring to people as, people of, and let me fill in the blank of how to objectify their identity to some sort of, trait. A person of grievance is very phonetically, conceptually similar to the way I think her mind works. She sees a person. How am I going to pigeonhole them based on race, religion, ethnicity, or perceived grievance? But listen to what she actually calls Clarence Thomas right here.
Of grievance for as long as I've known him. Resentment, grievance, anger. And he has
Why doesn't she just call Clarence? What doesn't she just say what she's thinking without she's basically calling Clarence Thomas an angry black man. That's what she is, not in as many words. That is exactly what she's saying right here. Just so politically politely. A person of grievance.
A person of grievance for as long as I've known him. Resentment, grievance, anger.
Resentment, grievance, and anger coming from the political party that, when referring to people of color, say that they're justified and legitimate and validated in their grievance because they have good cause to be, given the history. She may as well have just said he's an angry black man and he's holding a grudge. I mean, it's nothing less than what she said, but instead of person of color of grievance, she's talking about a person of grievance. But setting all of that aside, you want to talk about signaling? You want to talk about disguising what you're saying? This is signaling. This is singling him out, reducing him, and demonizing him. But the accusations themselves, I've said it before, I'll say it again because it's so damn true. Confession through projection. Imagine her calling someone else angry who holds grudges. Russia much? Let's keep going.
A person of grievance for as long as I've known him. Resentment, grievance, anger. And he has signaled in the past to lower courts, to state legislatures, find cases, pass laws, get them up. I may not win the first, the second, or the third time, but we're going to keep at it.
So you're saying people pay attention to
Yes,
this?
the people he is speaking to, which are the, right-wing, very conservative judges and justices and state legislatures. And the thing that is, well, there's so many things about it that are deeply distressing. But women are going to die, Gail. Women will die.
We reached out to Justice Thomas for a comment. We have not heard back from him. And Secretary Clinton had much more to say. Coming up in our next hour, we ask her whether she thinks senators were misled by Supreme Court justice.
Will die. Legislatures. And the thing that is, well, there's so many things about it that are deeply distressing. But women are going to die, Gail.
Look at that smile on her face. David Mamet, every fear hides a wish. This is it. This is the embodiment of someone who's saying something that she's afraid of and deep down wishes it will happen because they can weaponize it politically. Every fear hides a wish.
But women are going to die, Gail.
Look at that smirk on her face. That's not a captured in a freeze frame. That is a smirk on her face.
Women will die.
Every fear hides a wish. Can you imagine what would have happened if there hadn't been 2 people actually killed on January 6th? They wouldn't be able to tout it as the most violent day ever. They feared it, and then when it happened, they exploited it for full political profit. Every fear hides a wish. She's pretending to fear what she just said. She would, politically speaking, they'll exploit it, and they'll exploit the victims endlessly. But when someone said, she's describing herself. Let me just pull that out, actually. Let me pull this out.
Pass laws to lower court. And he has signaled in the past.
More signaling.
To
leave it to someone who signals all day long to think everyone else signals.
Lower courts, to state legislatures, find cases, pass laws, get them up. I may not win the first, the second, or the third time, but we're going to keep at it.
How many times did she run for president? I may not win the first, second, or third time, but I'm going to keep at it. She is describing herself through and through because when she views the world, views it as though everyone out there has to think the same way she does. Signaling, reducing people to identities, and then, my goodness, I hope there's no loss of life, but my goodness, if there is, it'll certainly serve us well. Atrocious. Yeah. And the other thing is, why is she a spokesperson on any of this? Why is she a voice on this? Yeah, she's a failed political candidate, a failed presidential candidate. Projection. Bitterness incarnate. Okay. Anyway, so that was another one, but there were more bad takes on the recent decision, which I just can't. I had a discussion yesterday with someone on Twitter, and I considered it to be a discussion. I appreciate that like I said in the thread, I'm the youngest of 5 kids, people. For those of you who don't know, I'm the youngest of 5 kids. 4 of the 5 kids turned out to be lawyers, myself included. My father's a lawyer. Friday night dinners around our house, they were active, heated debates. Every night where we had dinner together was an active, heated debate. So I can appreciate maybe I have thicker skin than some or thicker skin than most in some respects. But I still think I try to remain respectful. I don't punch down. I punch straight, but even then I try to only punch up. And if I'm going to be mean and call someone a racist, it's going to be a politician who's acting like a racist. If I'm going to call someone a psychopath, it's going to be a politician who's acting like a psychopath. I'm not going to pick on, smaller handles. I'm not going to try to put anyone on blast. Period. Full stop. I never do. So I thought we had a nice, an interesting exchange yesterday, where yesterday, I basically said, I think this debate, pro-choice versus pro-life, It's a falsified debate for 90% of the people out there. And I say this, I'm not calling any pro-lifer, I don't know, an extremist. I'm not calling them. I understand conceptually, religiously, spiritually, scientifically where they're coming from. I understand when people say life begins at conception, they're not doing it out of inhumanity to the woman. They're doing it out of humanity to the unborn human. I understand that. I don't think the vast majority of people are pro-life in that sense. Even if people believe that some form of life begins at conception, I think most people agree that what we consider to be human life in the sense of actual human under the law, sentient, deserving of all the rights and protections under the law, I don't think most people believe that that begins at conception. But I appreciate a lot of people sincerely believe that it does. I do believe that there is no rational person out there who sincerely believes, let me rephrase. I didn't rephrase. I said it properly. There's no rational person out there who believes that the day before delivery, what's in a woman's belly is not a full-fledged human deserving of all the protections under the law. I don't think there's a rational person on earth who believes that. And I might win the semantics debate, because if anybody does in fact believe that, I'm going to say that they're not rational or they're worse. And so then the discussion becomes, at what point after conception and, one day before actual delivery, do we agree that the entity inside the woman's baby is a human life for the purposes of protection under the law? So this was my statement. Pro-choice versus pro-life is a totally falsified debate. No rational human supports shmushmorshin up to the day before delivery. So setting aside life begins at conception, maybe it's not 90%, who knows? 90+% of the people out there, the debate is only a question of when pro-choice becomes criminal. Okay. Someone responded to that and said, I can't see it because I'm blocked. Oh no, I responded here. Okay. The person said, you're repeating talking points. Nobody believes that, in the absence of distress or risk to the mother, you can terminate a pregnancy a day before delivery. He says you're repeating stupid talking points. And so that's not even the debate. I said, good. So then we agree that terminating a healthy baby at full term when the mother isn't in distress should be illegal. How about 2 days before? Point proven. And that, as if to say, well, we all agree. A day before? No, of course not. Unless there's some exceedingly rare issue. Of course not. How about 2 days before? Okay. And then let's do that slowly and incrementally and say, at what point do we say that, I know I screenshotted it. Here we go. That wasn't it. I wanted to see the response. Okay. The question becomes, at what point does terminating a pregnancy when the mother isn't in distress, at what point should that become something that should be made illegal? That's the question. That's the question for 90+% of the people out there. And then the person blocked me, and I feel bad. I felt bad because I said, did anyone find me disrespectful or dishonest in the way I was? So this is one of those things, Lee Curtis, if you're watching, I did not mean to be disrespectful or I don't think I'm being dishonest. I did not mean to be disrespectful. And if I'm a little more, what's the word? Thick-skinned in the manner in which I can debate, fine. But I did not mean to be disrespectful. I think we actually illustrated exactly what the point was. Nobody thinks that unless the mother's in distress, you should do that late term. Okay. Now it's just a question of finding that ground. And by the way, where everyone is either deliberately or accidentally misunderstanding it, the government did not say, the Supreme Court did not say, no, you don't get to do it. They said, we don't make that decision. That decision is made at the state level. If you don't like your state, find one that has policies and laws that reflect your values and what you want to live by. I wonder how many lives. Okay, I will not read it like a boss. One of the classic Lonely Island songs, Like a Boss. Okay. What else did I have on the menu, people? Let me bring this one down. Let me just get the super chats before we did this. We got We the Patsies had an idea to get funds to Tamara. Free Tamara shirts, t-shirts. Government can't get their hands on it. And as Krusty says, T-shirts made, that's the sweetest plum. That's a guitar. Okay, cool. Screenshot. It won't be for me to do that. Someone can do it. With no legal advice, I can't tell you whether or not that's going to get your bank accounts frozen in Canada. OJ's 94 Bronco. They really can't think that. We think Epstein and Maxwell traffic hits to nobody. Somebody. They're lying. We know they're lying. They know we know they're lying. They know that we know that they know that we know, and yet they continue lying. Hey, Viva, did you see the former sergeant at arms on Jan 6 passed away suddenly and mysteriously after his first day of questioning yesterday? Let me just pull the Hillary Clinton meme. What can I say? People around me just die. Yeah, I read that. Someone sent me that article today, but when I read it, I couldn't tell if it was in the past or present. To be continued. I'll talk about it with Barnes on Sunday. Peter Singer, Princeton Bioethics, believes that the big A should be allowed up until the child becomes self-aware. So that would be after birth, until they can recognize themselves in the mirror as being themselves and not another baby. Yeah, that makes someone an irrational psychopath. So don't know who Peter Singer is, but if that means what I think it means, that's just straight up murder. Rob A becomes a youth. Rob A, how you doing? I thought you were a member, Rob. Good to see you back if you were. Good to meet you. I've seen you before many times. Thank you. Okay, so that was the debate. That was one thing that was left on our menu. Let me go close that down. Oh no, there was one. Hold on, let me just get Rob A's. Rob, I know you wanted to. Thank you. Let me get this out of here. Okay, we're not done with Canadian politics yet. Oh, here, look at this. But then we're going to get back to the most recent Supreme Court decision about the protest, and then we're going to call it a day. Jagmeet Singh. His name is Jagmeet. I'm not making fun of him. I'll say it every time so that no one thinks I'm pronouncing it Jagmeet to be. I was always pronouncing it Jagmeet, and apparently it's pronounced Jagmeet. So let's hear this. This is James Top's montage. James Top marching from Terry Fox Memorial, Vancouver, to Terry Fox Memorial, Ottawa, to protest government overreach. Let's hear what Jagmeet had to say about the invitation. I don't know if it was specifically about the invitation that James Top issued to Jagmeet to come and meet with him when he came to Ottawa and meet with MPs. Let's hear what the pathological liar Jagmeet Singh has to lie about today.
First of all, I meet with people that I disagree with regularly. It is something that we should do. First of all, I meet with people that I disagree with regularly. It is something that we should do. We should hear from people that we don't agree with.
Can I pull out the Princess Bride meme? Liar! Liar!
And
he frequently meets with people he disagrees with. Does he mean Justin Trudeau?
First of all, I meet with people that I disagree with regularly. It
Liar.
is something that
Regularly.
we should do. We should hear from people that we don't agree with.
How many times did you meet with anyone from the Ottawa protest, you pathological liar? You are Jagmeet Singh, if you're watching. You're a shameless, hypocritical liar. How many times did you meet with anyone in the 3 weeks of the peaceful Ottawa protest? How many? I'm going to pull a Pierre Poilievre. Justin Trudeau, how much money has your family taken from the We Charity? How much? I'll have to get back to you. How much? Hey, Jagmeet, how many times did you meet with anyone from the Ottawa protest? How many? Who have you met with? Who that you disagree with?
And that's an important thing to do. Hearing different viewpoints, opposing viewpoints is a part of our democracy, and everyone should be open-minded enough to meet with someone that they don't agree with.
Okay, good. Jagmeet, you're not open-minded. You are exactly what you're criticizing right here, in addition to being a liar.
I reached out to every member of parliament, every single one of them, from the top to the bottom, across the board, no party preferences. I was able to achieve a meeting with some of them, and that was done because the constituencies, their constituencies, reached out to them and asked them to come and see me when I arrived in Ottawa. That's how it worked. And it is encouraging because what we saw was a display of courage by the MPs who came to talk to me. They listened to what their...
Leslie Lewis showed up. Pierre Poilievre didn't. Maybe he had a good reason. Maybe he had a good reason, like maybe he had a good reason for not voting to end the travel restriction. I forget which vote he missed, allegedly because of a technical glitch.
Constituencies in their ridings had to say, and then those folks came to talk to me about my concerns.
Okay, anyways, I'm gonna send everyone that tweet. Liar. Just a liar. I think it's great to meet with people. I meet regularly with people who I disagree with. Oh, okay. Talk is cheap, especially when it's lies. Okay. Let me see what else I had on my menu. Elmo. Don't want to see Elmo again. No. All right. Let's just read the recent Supreme Court decision that has been it's impactful, but it's been largely ignored, and I'll discuss it in greater detail with Barnes on Sunday. By the way, we have Dreisen report tomorrow night sidebar. Don't know where I'm going to be for that, but I might be in a bathroom somewhere. That's to say, I might be hiding out because I might be with my family somewhere where we might not have much space, and I might have to find the only quiet room where we're going to be. What am I looking for? Oh, yes, that's right. I see something from Chet Chisholm. Did you watch the Canada March panels last week? I'm the paramedic who spoke on Friday. I've been asked to speak further on what's happening. I saw something last week, and I don't know what it was. I saw something at which my brother spoke. Dan, the Lion, Arié, in Toronto. And I'm trying to think if it was the same thing. Chet, I'll have to look. But either way, like the comment underneath said, let me find it. Let me find it. Let me find it. I can't find it. Damn it. There we go. Chet rocks. There was another one that said, thank you, Chet. Yeah. Chet, thank you. Okay, let's get this out of here. Yeah, I had to pick CNN because it was Toobin. I'm not going to make the Toobin jokes. Just know that I'm going to be thinking them the entire time we go through. Toobin's take. Toobin's take. Well, hold on. Let's just see here. Let's just see this.
There were multiple precedents prior to this that limited the ability of public officials to bring prayer into schools and to their public duties. There were multiple precedents, as you know, regarding Roe v. Wade and other cases with the right to privacy. Is precedent dead on the course, stare decisis? I mean, we heard every justice when they were asked repeatedly, they talked about respect for precedent. Are we seeing that eroded here?
Yes. I mean, we are seeing
let's hear Toobin's take.
The influence of the three Trump justices. I mean, that you know, as the three dissenters said in the...
Sorry, I can't put it on pause, and I don't want to hear that whole thing. This is a case of... Supreme Court further erodes separation between church and state in case of praying football coach. The Supreme Court said Monday that a Washington state school district, so it's a government entity, violated the First Amendment rights of a high school football coach when he lost his job after praying at the 50-yard line after games. And this is where the legal distinction is going to be. NFL can prohibit protest because they're not government entities, I presume. Whereas a state school district, a state school can't restrict religious rights. The opinion was 6-3 along conservative liberal ideological lines. So I think that's a material distinction that's going to have to be, kept in mind. One is a state entity restricting someone's right to free exercise of religion. The other is a private enterprise saying you can't protest at work, hypothetically. But you know damn well the Toobins of the world support and will fight to the bitter end the right to take a knee before a football game, but they won't support the right of a religious person to take a knee for religious purposes. And they're the ones complaining about the erosion of the separation between church and state. The Constitution and the best of our traditions, counsel mutual respect and tolerance, not censorship and suppression for religious and non-religious views alike, Justice Gorsuch wrote in the majority. The court said the coach Joe Kennedy's prayers amounted to private speech protected by First Amendment and could not be restricted by the school district. So it's interesting because my working philosophy, my personal belief is that protest public spaces on your own time, but not necessarily in private. In fact, let me rephrase, not in private enterprise when you're at work, and not because you shouldn't have the right to do it, but because you can't have politics come in and sour relationships, compromise the ability of a private enterprise to function. It's not the time, it's not the place. That being said, Congress shall enact no laws to restrict free speech. State entities cannot infringe on constitutional rights is a different beast. And that would go to say that in this particular context, the district school could not prohibit protest speech any more than they could protest religious speech, although maybe they could because religion is specifically provided for, although so is politics. The decision lowers the bar between church and state in an opinion that will allow more religious expression in public spaces. God forbid. I didn't mean that as that, pun intended. The court clarified that a government entity does not necessarily violate the Establishment Clause by permitting religious expression in public. We are aware that no historically sound understanding of the Establishment Clause that begins to make it necessary for government to be hostile to religion in this way, Gorsuch wrote. The Establishment Clause of the Constitution says Congress can make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof. So it's a very interesting double standard. Now we can go back and hear what Toobin had to say. Now let's bring it here. There we go. Do they not let you skip or pause? Oh, there we go. Okay, good. There. Why couldn't I do that before? Play. We're done. To be discussed Sunday night in greater detail with someone who I think knows more on the subject than me, Robert Barnes. I meant MSM, not politicians. Point still stands. Okay, that's it. Chet, thank you again. So that's it. Thank you, Viva, for not covering the January 6th sham. I watched one day of it, couldn't take it anymore. It literally made me nauseous. I got to 3 days of it. It literally made me nauseous after the third day. It was too much for a human with a stomach to deal with. Don't even know. Okay. Okay, let me see here. I think, do I have any super chats that I missed? There was a one Rumble rant. Oh, there's two Rumble rants. Alberta 1984 says, if life doesn't legally begin at conception, when does it begin? How is your take more coherent than 9 months if you aren't basing life on anything material? This is Alberta 1984. If life doesn't begin at conception, we agree. I talked about it yesterday, and we may never agree on this, by the way. I agree that life begins at conception. I do not necessarily agree that human life in the sense of the law begins at conception. Because whereas, my personal take is that human life protectable under the law has to do with brain activity, and it has to do with I'll say brain activity. Whereas I don't believe that it would be murder necessarily to pull the plug on a human that is definitively and effectively totally brain dead, but has certain nervous system still functioning, heart beating, but brain dead. So the question is, when does brain activity in the sense of making a human life begin? I don't think that begins at conception, because at conception, there is no brain to make something a human. And I appreciate people will disagree with this, but the question is not whether or not it's life beginning from conception. It is whether or not it is a human life that meeting the legal definition of what is a human to be protected by laws. And so when would I draw the distinction? Brain activity. The heartbeat requires a brain, true, but I would draw it at a certain scientifically acceptable level of brain activity. and then even then, for maintaining certain levels of social cohesion, provide for certain exceptions in law, specifically protecting the mother if the mother's life is at risk for carrying, if there's and other exceptions. The victims of assault would be one as well. Within, again, that there has to be, one can understand that there would be reluctance for victims to come forward, which might explain delays that might go beyond a certain point. These are the thorniest of the thorny issues that represent a minute fraction of the aggregate number of the procedure at large. And so you don't make policy based on the exceptions. You try to make policy based on a coherent rule that can be applied with limited exceptions that should be themselves exceptional as per the word. So Alberta 1984, and thank you, and I mean this sincerely. I understand exactly the position that life begins at conception. But I'm not sure that we would all agree that human life, that it is a human at conception, a human in the sense of the law, not a human in the sense of potential. That being said, I wholeheartedly and sincerely understand the argument that the potential for human life, once it is conceived, is there, and therefore it is immoral to end it. I understand that perspective. There was another Rumble rant, which was, oh, hold on one second. I took the picture of it. URS8243, $20 Rumble rant. Thank you very much. Maybe she should have spoken or listened to what Justice Sotomayor, I don't know how to spell her name. Thomas was the kindest, nicest. Oh, that's right. Because Sotomayor came out and said, Justice Thomas is the kindest, nicest person on earth. Maybe she should have listened to what Sotomayor said, that Thomas was the kindest, nicest human being she's ever known. Find that clip, Viva. I will. Thank you. Okay. People, let me get to some. The choice was made prior to conception. Agreed, unless it's one of those exceptions of a type of assault where there was no choice. In terms of the act, it's clearly human as it cannot possibly become a different species of life, but becoming something does not make it what it is at that point. Sperm is the only entity that can become human. It requires other events to allow that to even become possible. But again, here's the issue. The ultimate thing here is we understand where we disagree, and I genuinely and sincerely understand the position. At some point, though, people make the decisions that they come to the conclusions that they think are morally, scientifically justifiable, and we're not all going to come to the same conclusion. Okay. Why do I get ads midstream? I don't think you do. I don't think you can possibly get ads midstream because that would interfere with the live stream. Unless you are catching up, and then maybe, but okay. Okay, so let's see this. If it were taken out of the mother, would it be able to live on its own? So viability is another one of the thresholds that people have. Babies surviving at 20 weeks. So viability is another standard, but people have issues with viability because even before viability, there is definitely human brain activity, sensing pain, sensorial development. So some people have a problem with viability because that might still be too late, although that's where many will set their moral scientific threshold. One thing's for certain, it's not a day before delivery. It's not 2 days before delivery. It's not 3 days before delivery. And I don't think it's feasible policy to have it be not 1 day after conception either. So that's the argument. That's the discussion. It should be had in a civil and respectful manner. Viva, what other humans besides babies does your definition allow us to kill? Viva, what other humans besides babies to kill? People pulling the plug on someone who's brain dead. I know that the Terry Schiavo case was a big one, but taking someone off life support would be the one. And kill is a loaded word. I mean, I know what you mean. To end the life of people on life support, pulling the plug. Now it's assisted living, but on their own devices, they would not continue to live. And then that argument will be used the other way around as well from a mother who says it's assisted living as well. So it is, but again, Pasha Moyer. So what other humans besides babies does your definition allow to kill? it would allow pulling the plug on people who are brain dead on a respirator who will not survive on their own, but with mechanical assistance. And then people will operate by analogy. The mechanical assistance in that case is the same as the mother assistance, although one is natural, one is mechanical. We understand where the disagreement is, or where we disagree in our respective conclusions. Appreciate this one as well. Brain growing and development is not the same thing as brain dead or dying. True. They're not identical, but brain developing and not yet being at a point of sensing pain, sensing any form of existence, being brain alive. It may not be brain dead because it was never alive to have died. It just has not yet reached brain alive. And so the question is not arguing that the two are identical, because they're not. The question is arguing if you are going to draw a threshold that is beyond, not past conception, and before 1 day before delivery, where do you draw that in terms of what defines a human existence? Not life, not existence at large, a human existence for the purposes of protection under the law. But again, most people will not agree on this. Some people will not agree on this. Understanding where you disagree and agreeing to disagree there while remaining civil human beings to one another. Let me see something here. Kids are born with the ability to feel pain. Who said they weren't? And that is exactly why. Viva, you're losing me. Well, I'm not sure why we're losing each other. But babies are born with the ability to feel pain. Yes. I don't think the day after conception they feel pain. When do they start feeling pain? It's somewhere in that gray zone between the day after conception and the day before delivery. If you want to have a workable policy that is humane, realistic, and scientifically justifiable. Okay. Got it. Okay. Let's agree to disagree and move on, because this is it's a debate that's going to go on forever. The only question is finding something of a tolerable, sustainable policy that is also scientifically justifiable and not scientifically inhumane. Okay. What else? Let me see here. Just Me Nicole says pain at 3 weeks, brain starts at 6 weeks. And so then that will be someone's threshold, 6 weeks or 3 weeks. But again, the two extremes are, for most people, not the day after conception, although I understand that side a lot more than the other side. One, I think, is religiously grounded and spiritually justifiable. The other one, I think, is the day before delivery or 8 days after. I believe that's something else, something sinister. Okay. What else? Johnny Arbor 07. Does that mean lefties could be aborted at any? Okay. First of all, that's a snake. No, it is not. That's not a snake. That's a holster with a gun. Okay, sorry, Johnny. Yeah, there's a lot of jokes in there. Okay, people, thank you for spending the afternoon with me. I've just got a text from my wife. She says, make sure I'm okay. Tag team. I think I've just been given the digital tag. Oh, Keith Wilson wanted me to mention to everybody that you can follow him at. Let your audience know that I will be providing regular updates on Twitter if they want to follow me at IK Wilson. India, Kilo, Whiskey, India, Lima, Sierra, Oscar, November. Just have to show off there for a bit. At IK Wilson. India, Kilo, Wilson. Apparently his first name is not Keith, it's an I. Or maybe it's I Keith Wilson. I watch on Rumble, but chat on YouTube app. I am a bot. YouTube, not YouTube, Rumble. We discussed it with Pavlovsky on Tim Pool, why they don't have the app, why you can't Rumble rant from the app. And that's because they're already taking less of a cut from Rumble rants in general, 20%, not 30%. And on the app, you got to pay the Apple app thingy thing. You got to pay the toll to be able to transactions on Apple. There's an extra fee on the Apple app thing, so they don't want to incur that. And it's one day maybe the system will be perfect. Okay, what else? God bless Keith Wilson. Capital G, agreed. So that's it. I'm going to put the links in the chat, in the stream, in the comments, pin the comments. IK Wilson to follow Keith Wilson on Twitter. He'll give regular updates. He's now promised he's going to come back on. So that's good. Not, I mean, he'd always come back on, but we're going to get the updates here and share around. The rant. Share around the Tamara Lich. I'm going to clip it and snip it as quickly as I can. People, tomorrow night, Dreisen Report, Sidebar 7 o'clock, and enjoy the rest of the week. I'm going to see... nobody likes to hear people complain, and I'm not complaining. There's a lot of stress going on in the background. I say good stress. It's not bad stress, but tremendous stress. So I'm going to see when I can stream this week. But tomorrow night, Sidebar, and stay tuned. People, thank you for the great stream. Thank you for being here, all of you. I will see all of you tomorrow night. #RayEps. January 6th joke. Most people get it. Go. Enjoy the day. There's still some sunlight left. Thank you all for being here. Peace out, peeps.